name is Sibungseni Mgolozeli, and I will be your program director for this evening. And all welcome to everyone who has just joined us. Hopefully it's going to be a great evening. And yes, without further delays, because we have a limited time, I'll shoot straight into our first speaker or reviewer, Costa Sandys, to review a book, How to Make Your First Million by Warren Ingram. Costa, hopefully you are ready and the stage is yours, sir. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Zimbabwe. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. So I'll be reviewing How to Make Your First Million. The author is someone that a few of you might recognize from the Money Show on Radio 702. It's Warren Ingram. And one thing that I found very noble about the author is that all the royalties from the sale of the book go towards a trust that provides education for South African youth. So How to Make Your First Million. It's quite a catchy title. However, this book is more than just about making your first million or getting rich. It's about achieving financial freedom and to show one that achieving financial freedom is doable for everyone. The book talks about investing with a goal in mind. Are you saving towards retirement? How long do you have? What is important to you? Where do you want to live and what kind of lifestyle do you want to have? Do you want to spend your retirement traveling, painting, writing, or playing a musical instrument? Well, you have to build these skills up over time. It's not something that you can just all of a sudden be a professional at when you retire. So once you've defined your goals, you have this beacon of light at the top of a ladder that you need to work towards. So this ladder is your roadmap to achieving your goal. You'll need to revisit your roadmap multiple times, adjusting it along the way to make sure that you actually achieve your goal as life happens. The book goes on to discuss finding your passion and working towards specializing in what you enjoy. It's easier to handle life if you have something that you do daily that you enjoy most of the time. This will also make it easier to stay on track as you work towards your retirement goals, that beacon of light at the top of the ladder. Only after this does the book delve into some more technical investment fundamentals, investment instruments. It gives an overview of investment strategy, managing risk, and how to build your investment portfolio. Some of the investment options, amongst others, that the book gives an overview on are bonds, exchange-traded funds, fixed deposits, and home loans. The overview of each investment option was quite good, and it usually was accompanied by some advice. However, one would still need to do their own research and get a deep understanding of each investment option and to decide if it was applicable to their own investment strategy. The book then brings all the concepts together with some real-life examples of how different people from different walks of life achieve their own first million. There are some very contrasting examples in the book that make one realize that it's actually quite possible to make your first million regardless of your hand of cards that you dealt. The examples used consider people with their own businesses, people that are employed, as well as some with no special skills or expertise. So yeah, the book is very well written. It's concisely written and clear. I really enjoyed reading it, and I thought the book that was written in a way that anyone can read it and relate and understand the concepts discussed. I would recommend the book to anyone that is interested in getting an introduction to financial investing. It's a great guide to planning out your financial investment strategy and gives a high-level overview of the different investment options available as well. It's also a very good motivator, and by providing real-life examples, you realize that achieving financial freedom is actually within your reach. Thanks for listening to my review.
Thank you so much, Costa. That was very short and sweet and straight to the point. Munene will be reviewing a book also on financial literacy by one of our own, which is Nicolette Mashile, and her book title is called What's Your Move? What's Your Move? By Nicolette Mashile. And to review that book is going to be Munene Mashaba. Munene, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So this afternoon, I will be reviewing What's Your Move by Nicolette Mashile. So out of curiosity, who in here is in their early 20s or mid-20s? Just raise your hand. I'm in my early 20s, and I highly recommend this book. I feel like it was good for someone in... okay, that's good. Yeah, it's a good book for someone in their early 20s or mid-20s, because we know how it is, transitioning from that varsity life, being a student, being a child into adulthood. Growing up in a Black household, you don't really know how to handle your personal finances. You don't really know much about how dangerous debt can be and all those things. So Nicolette Mashile, using her own personal stories and ordinary South African stories, she talks about those things, how to avoid debt, how to have good debt. She has also simplified investing and different investment vehicles you can use if you are interested in investing. Yes, I like how she has just simplified investing. I have tried reading The Intelligent Investor by, I forgot the author's name. It's Graham something, yeah, but it wasn't much of an easy read. So with this one, I like that it was easy to read, easy to digest. She just simplified anything that has to do with personal finances and investing. Yes, thank you, Read2. It's Benjamin Graham. Yes, The Intelligent Investor's author. So yeah, she explains ETFs, all those things, investment, how to have an investment portfolio, and all those things, and having how to become a hustler. I don't know if I can put it that way. Yes, just in having more income streams in your life. So yes, I think it's a good read. If you have thought of getting anyone a Christmas gift this year, and they are in their early 20s, I recommend the book. And that's it. That's it for the review. Yeah.
Amazing. So before I ask maybe a question, I see that was also short and sweet. I can tell from the way you are glowing, you really enjoy the book, Munene. So let me allow first the audience to ask a question if they have any question for you. And thank you for that review. Anyone, you can unmute yourself and shoot your question for Munene.
I have a question for Munene. Hello, it's Read2. I was just curious, what is her move now? Now that she has, what's her move?
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because yes, the whole point of the book was to challenge people that after you've read, what's your move? So my only move for right now is just having a healthy relationship with debt and handling credit well, because yeah, I have just recently started work and all those things. So yeah, now I'm careful. When it comes to credit, I'm very much careful. That's my move. Thank you for the question.
Sure, thanks for the answer.
I guess that means that when you are saying you are very careful with credit, it means you are trying by all means perhaps to staying out of debt as much as possible.
Using debt wisely, yes.
Debt wisely. Okay. Thank you so much, Munene. Meeting. So let's jump now to Bonginkosi Sithole, and Bonginkosi, I've noticed he is with us, and hopefully you are ready, sir, to review your own book. Can you confirm?
Yes, I think we can shoot.
Amazing. So we can see the man himself is on the spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, and that is Bonginkosi Sithole to review his own book. Another interesting topic, by the way, and that is called Unpacking Black Tax Affairs, Healing the Injuries. It's quite a long subtitle, to a certain extent that it didn't fit into our program, but we will just see the first part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Bonginkosi Sithole, Unpacking Black Tax Affairs. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Director, for the platform. Let me just shoot straight just to save time. The title of the book is Unpacking Black Tax Affairs. And the subtitle is very short. It's just saying healing the injuries of Black poverty. So it sounds more Afrocentric, but it covers for everyone, since I believe that term Black tax has been coined by us, and it does not necessarily mean black as in black people, but it has a lot to do with finances itself. So the book, as it says, Unpacking black tax affairs. It deals with clearing the confusions that we have about black tax and recoining the term and re-explaining the term. What does it mean? So you will understand that we're from an era where many black people didn't have the platform to participate on economic issues or on the economic market. So they were excluded. So that has caused a lot of injuries in the black society, issues of dealing with your finances, issues of managing your finances as you start working. How do you tackle your budgets? How do you speak about your finances to your benefactors? Because you know that you will be having people who are looking up to you, your family members, your mothers, your sisters, and your brothers. How do you clarify your finances to them? How do you clarify your budget? How do you tell them about your finances, and how do you plan? So the book covers such things. It also covers how do we shift then from the injury of black tax so that the next generation doesn't have to experience such a burden that we have experienced. And it also works to recoin the word or the connotations around black tax. What does it really mean? Because necessarily we have viewed black tax as a burden or as a bad thing. However, it's not if we are able to tap into black tax in a guided way or in a financial guided way, because I believe black tax is a financial responsibility like all financial responsibilities that you will have. So if you're able to manage it very well, if you're able to manage your finances, then you're not going to be burdened by it. So the book works to recoin the term, or works to put the term in a good way, or to give the term a very African good term, because black tax is Ubuntu, not necessarily a burden. So it works on that. It also works on the psychological part of how to deal with it, because there are people who have committed suicide, there are people who have went into drugs because of the burden. So it also covers the psychological part of the burden. How do you deal with the burden? In a nutshell, I can say I cannot proceed that much. Yeah, I think I've covered what I was supposed to cover.
Okay, great. And thank you so much, Bonginkosi. I believe perhaps, it's also one of the interesting topic. I believe that we might have one or two questions for your book. And let's have one for now before we move to the next speaker. Anyone? Okay, I see Rialebucha Henry Lifawane's hand is up. I will give the stage over to you, Henry, for your question.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. I wanted to ask Bonginkosi, in terms of your book, does it cover, in terms of black tax, what happens when you get into marriage? How do you handle that? When two people meet, how do you handle that thing to say, I'm from this side, I was doing this for my family, and my wife was doing this for her family. How do you handle it? Is it covered in the book? Thanks.
Yes. In the second chapter of the book, it speaks about the do's and don'ts. Remember, marriages are contractual in nature, so they are not the same. Some of them will enter into community of property, those type of contracts, intellectual and whatnot. So the second chapter, it covers that. It covers how do you communicate before you can even get married, that you are having beneficiaries who are looking up to you for financial needs. So yeah, to just answer the question precisely, yes, there is a chapter that deals with that.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Bonginkosi. And I think since you are the first speaker who's also authoring the book you are reviewing, I will have to ask, where do we get hold of your book? Because the previous ones that we've had, they are available in the bookstores nationwide. So with yours, how do we get hold of your copy of your book?
Available on selected bookstores nationwide. I can't say all bookstores. They are available on selected bookstores. I know Exclusive and Bargain Books, they are available. They are also available directly from me. We do free deliveries for the copies. And they are also available on ebook. What do you call them? Google Play books. Yes, that's the term.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And ladies and gentlemen, he's also a member of the Visionary Readers Book Club. So if you are interested in getting your copy, you can let us know in the group chat, and then he will see your messages and help you in case you want signed copies directly from him. And I know for sure that I'm one of the people who are interested in getting my own copy. Okay, we'll move next to Asande Dube to review a book titled African Teen Souls. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for giving me this platform. I'd like to also thank Ma'am Namawele for giving me this opportunity to able to write my story and put it out to the world. So African Teen Soul is basically about experiences that as we teenagers face during coronavirus times. We experience we experience quarantine, how it takes a toll on our mental health, the different types of violences that we see across Africa, like the gender-based violence, how it breaks out during the COVID era as well, and how sometimes it takes a toll on other people. Being unemployed as well also affects other people, which unfortunately affects us teenagers, because our families sometimes would urge us to work harder during these times when it's very hard to do so because this is very new for us. Unfortunately, as we all know, that human beings don't really like change much because we like everything to be routine. So as us teenagers, we are very used to being in classrooms, being taught by teachers, but now if we introduced to Google Classroom, which is very hard for us to adapt, especially in the rural areas as well. That's basically what the book is about. It's about us African teens writing our experiences during the COVID era and how it sometimes can hurt us mentally, psychologically, emotionally as well, because sometimes we feel like it's too much and we don't know whom to talk to. Yeah, that's what this book is about. And I'm very happy to be part of this amazing journey because it started off as a competition. And so she chose 25 short stories to be put into the book, which is called an anthology. So I was very happy to be able to write out about my experiences on it. What is it like being a teenager in South Africa during COVID times? It's very hard, I guess, because when it first came, it became uncopable. Sometimes it's very, very hard to grasp everything. Like everything completely changed. Getting used to wearing masks to school every day. Sometimes it's getting hard to breathe. Sometimes you get so scared when a person coughs in a classroom, you immediately think, oh, COVID, So all those things kind of contributes in which leads to this writing of this anthology. This book, you can actually get it at Kwazitini Publishers. It is available. It is 200 rands per copy, or you can get it at www.kwazitini.co.za, or you can call them 079-306-1668. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for giving me this platform to be able to review my book. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Asande, for that review. It's quite interesting to learn how the book came about. I didn't know it's all started during the time of COVID and, the publisher herself having to ask teenagers to write about their experiences. And I think some of the things I've noticed with some of the parents, they neglect, the traumas or actually other challenges that their children go through during the trying times, and having to have a platform like that, especially starting in a form of a competition, as Nomawele did, as you're sharing. It was quite a very brilliant way to entice teenagers to share their experiences. And thank you for sharing all that with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me this platform.
You are welcome. And ladies and gents, before I let her go, can we have one question? Do we have one question for Asande before we let her go? Anyone? What age group? I understand it was written mostly by teenagers. Who would you recommend this book to? Let's say, besides teenagers, of course, I think teenagers can relate more. Do you think maybe it should be more useful to parents, or do you have any like target market? Do you know what was the target market when the project started?
No, but then the book can be read by the parents because they get to see their child's feelings, how they actually feel. I think it'd be better to be targeted towards more parents so they can understand their children's feelings. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much and for explaining all that to us, and we appreciate you taking your time and to use this platform to share your book with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to our last speaker. And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Alude Mpeketo to review a book by Steve Biko called I Write What I Like. Over to you, Alude.
All right, thank you for this opportunity. I'm very grateful to present through this platform. I am Alude. I'll be reviewing a book titled I Write What I Like by Steve Bantu Biko. I will start on by a brief history on Steve Biko. Stephen Bantu Biko is affectionately known as Steve Biko, a father of Black consciousness. Was a South African anti-apartheid activist who founded the Black Consciousness Movement. The purpose of the movement was to mobilize and empower Black people. So he was born in King Williamstown in 1946, December. His life, or the most significant parts of his life, began at the Natal University, where he was starting to become a doctor. He was seen very active in student politics and was a member of NUSAS, a National Union of South African Students, which he later broke away to form a South African student organization, which he believed that students of color, the non-white students, the Blacks, the Indians, the colors, needed an organization of their own, an organization that could cater for their own needs. He also coined a slogan, Black men, you are on your own, because he believed that students of color needed to shape their own identities. So the SASO organization later evolved to Black Consciousness Movement. He further explains Black consciousness as being a mental attitude. And I quote, he said that being Black is not a matter of pigmentation, but being Black is a reflection of a mental attitude. He also uses the liberation factor as an important concept in Black consciousness. He says that liberation is of paramount importance in the concept of Black consciousness, for we cannot be conscious of ourselves and yet remain in bondage. We want to attain the individual self, which is a free self. So the core idea within the Black consciousness movement was the need for the Blacks to change their mentality and free their minds from the idea of inferiority that apartheid had encouraged. So Steve Biko was expelled from his political views in 1973, but he continued to work underground with other organizations in organizing protests. The most significant one was the Soweto 1976 uprising. He was arrested in 1977 and later died due to severe head injuries. So from the book, the gist of the book is that Black consciousness was a tool that was used to free or to fetch the Blacks from the shackles of apartheid and the psychological effects of that era. So I would recommend the book to anyone who is in leadership or anyone who wants to build up on African literature. And for me, Steve Biko was a daring leader. He was a visionary, and he was willing to die for the vision and live up to it. So that is all for me.
Thank you so much, Alude, for that book review. I believe perhaps there's one question. I know I have one, but then I'll allow the audience first.
Alude, I just wanted to ask you, what in your opinion have you taken from the book and you believe you've applied in your personal spaces, particularly also as a Black woman, applied in your personal spaces that you believe has strengthened, or at least has enhanced your Black consciousness and your awareness of how the world views Black people and how we are accommodated in the world? How have you applied any of the lessons that you believe you have taken from the book? Thank you.
Oh, all right. For me, it has to be the fact that I mean, I have ingrained in me or taken the fact that being Black is not a matter of pigmentation, but is a matter of mental attitude. For me, it has changed my perspective and how I position myself in the world and how I see myself as a Black person. I also, especially this year, now that I've worked with in a white firm, it's really helping me to stand my ground. It's really helping me to not feel inferior or dump myself down. So yeah, I think it's that for me.
Okay. Joseph, I believe you had a question for Alude. You can take the stage and ask.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Quicks. I must commend Alude for the book, Steve Biko. It's one of the most prominent book ever. But well, I read the book myself. My question is centered around the relevance of it. Remember when Steve Biko was penning the book, he was trying to do with the inferiority complex of Black men towards the apartheid regime. But perhaps my question would be, how do you think it's relevant to the current contemporary set, the current generation now? Remember, we are no longer, I think, the struggle change. We are no longer fight the apartheid regime. We have new challenges. As a review of the book, how do you think this book is relevant to the current generation? Thanks, colleagues.
Thanks, Joseph. Alude?
All right, thank you for your questions. I think it's relevant because there's a chapter that touches racism there. I don't remember which one, but there's a chapter that touches racism, and we know how racism has been prevailing and during our time. So I think we can apply his principles during this era too. Yeah, I think that's that. Also on leadership, I think we need daring leadership, like Biko's leadership, because we have a crisis in leadership. So we can go back and and review and reflect, because his leadership was very daring. He was so courageous. So I think it's so relevant in this era too.
True. I think I believe so as well. As someone who has read the book several times, the person wanted to ask maybe Alude a question. Redu, do you want to ask a question? Do you still want to ask that question?
I thought because I put my hand up, you'd forget me. I had a comment and I had a question. The comment was just to say, and I think the previous person who asked the question, I think it's very relevant. I'll just share my experience about corporate, where I see this a low self-esteem, even in qualified and accomplished people, come into play when they're in meetings with people that are not Black. So I think I've read this book like yourself about 3 or 4 times, and every time it comes back to my voice matters. I shouldn't overly doubt myself when I'm bringing things to the fore, and I think that book helps you do that. So I think it's very relevant for all Black people still. My question to Alude is, I'm just curious how she came about the book, because I mean, it is an old book and some people now tend to think, who needs it? But how did you decide to read it? Thanks.
I was actually reading this book in September. I think it was his anniversary. I don't know, honorary, I don't know, but he died on September. So I picked the book from my shelf and I'm like, let me just read to pay tribute to Biko, because September I don't know, he died in September though. So I think it's that.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Alude. And thanks to Dr. McLean to ask a question. I don't know whether it's directed to Alude, but he will explain. Over to you, Doc.
Thank you very much, Doc, and also thanks to everyone that has actually reviewed books. I want to, perhaps just lend my voice to, I think, a question that Joseph had asked to Alude, and to also perhaps add on to, her response. I think, I Write What I Like is really about, I think that's the basis of Black consciousness. And, some time back I spoke about, I think I reviewed the book by the former Minister of Science and Technology, who was also former Minister of Education, Musibudi Mangena. And in there, he basically takes the principles of Black consciousness further. And also illustrates them in terms of the modern day challenges that we face, whether it's strikes at the hospitals where we allow our own people to die because, we want a bonus, or it goes to the schools where we send our children, and a whole range of, things that we see in society, even immigration, laws and policies. And then, at the end of that particular book, it actually includes a whole explanation of Black consciousness. And so I'd like to actually applaud, Alude for having taken time to read that book and review it. And I think the more we get younger people to really start to get into grips with Black consciousness and understanding that we are enough as Black people, that we have a culture that is rich, that we need to embrace. And indeed, as Steve Biko said, Black men, you're on your own. It's important for us as Black people to also appreciate the fact that in this world, we are actually really on our own, and it's important for Black people, not only just South Africans, but Black people, Africans, to unite and tap into the principles of Black consciousness. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Doc, for that further elaboration. I actually believe, with all the subjects that we spoke about today, basically, which is financial literacy, and also this book by Steve Biko also speak in a sense, well, if you think about, financial matters, they can actually enslave us in our mind. And I think we can apply the principles in the book on how to free yourself in your mind in order to, to live the life you desire and deserve. And then what you just spoke about, Dr. McLean, to say, the book by Prof. Mangena, who actually was building further on those, principle of Tisbiko. I remember the book you reviewed last month, the title, We Can Fix Ourselves. And when I'm connecting the dots, I can see the relationship between all these titles. And perhaps now my question will be to you back, Doc, since we have actually seen Dr. Mangena to talk more on these principles. I just want to, if you have any way perhaps that you can put succinctly in relation to the topic of today, which is financial literacy, and how we can use those principles by Steve Biko, and what Prof. Mangena has said in his book, We Can Fix Ourselves, let's say to get ourselves, let's say in this perhaps this thing, or maybe we can also relate to Black tax as well, and how we can liberate ourselves in terms of to live and also to build our, let's say, financial wealth and maybe legacy in terms of our families as Black people. How do we apply these principles to take ourselves, as I believe most of our people are still living in poverty, to change our mindset using those principles in order to make the financial wealth for our families?
I don't know whether I have an answer for you. It's a difficult one, but perhaps just I think having read the book and also seeing the challenges that we face as a people, I think in the first instance is I think as Black people we almost have new money, in a way, and we need to perhaps respect money. And in that regard, we need to be careful how we spend that money. It does not mean that we have to flaunt it, because flaunting it does not, in my view, align with this whole spirit of Black consciousness. You cannot be flaunting wealth in a sea of poverty. And so I actually think that the first thing is that each and every one of us have got a responsibility to take care of each and every rand that comes our way. And when we are blessed to have more, we need to then think about those that are not as blessed as we are. And it doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, it can just simply be perhaps by paying for a neighbor or someone's school fees, a child's school fees. It doesn't have to be something loud that everybody needs to know that you have done this good. But I think it's perhaps ensuring that we pick up another less fortunate Black person and help them along the way. So that's in the first instance. I think in the second instance is also a responsibility on some of us that are perhaps managers in the workplace to also start to teach financial literacy to other Black people. When we get a bonus or we get an annual increase, perhaps again principles around you take care of the rand. And it will take care of you to stretch for much longer. And therefore, when people get increases or bonuses, encouraging them to actually live within their own means and start to save whatever the increase is or a percentage of the bonus. And I think one of the principles that perhaps I think also borrowing from the richest man in Babylon is really inculcating a culture of saving, which as Black people, I think we do well with the stokvels. How can we perhaps make sure that the stokvels become a source of building wealth for our people? And we don't have to look far. You look in East Africa, they've got what they call SACCOs, and SACCOs are in essence similar to stokvels. But they're actually much more organized, and you've got SACCOs that actually own land, they own the matatus, the minibuses and so forth. How can we perhaps bring that, the whole basis of who we are as a people to actually building our own communities? Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Right, it seems like we are all happy with the reviews, and we are actually happy with the way also the reviews were conducted. And firstly, I must thank everyone for taking their time in attending these book reviews. And I believe that we have learned a thing or two and much specifically about financial literacy. And also there was an element of leadership regarding, the Steve Biko's book, which is I write what I like. Okay, I will allow Penny. I see she has a question. Penny, you can take the stage.
All right. I think as you know, I'm also for the anthology. So I was quite interested in what, she shared, it's Nonku's daughter, because I forgot her name, but I still see her mother's name there. Yeah, I wanted to know how many of them were there in terms of the writing and the topics that are entailed in that anthology. It is quite intriguing for me because I also arise from that space of having been a co-author from the anthology space.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it actually started off as a competition. We were given a specific topic, which is COVID, and what was it like in our perspective, what it's like to grow up in a COVID era. And therefore, she decided to compile it. Her name, by the way, is Nomola Njong. She decided to compile it in an anthology of 25 short stories, how we all had our different take on what is it like growing up in this era, basically. And I think I was taught by just basically sharing our feelings, how we felt, or we made up a story using other characters and in a way, you kind of see how the author's mind space is like while reading the story. So thank you so much for the question.
All right, thank you so much, Asanda and Penny, for the question. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the meeting. Let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, the reviewers, of course, and the people who ask questions, and for attendees for blessing us with your presence. We really appreciate it. And just so you understand, in case you're not part of the book club, our aim really, or our vision, is actually to increase or to promote the reading culture within the African continent and beyond. So as a book club, we gather together and share the importance of this habit called reading and what it can do to liberate us. We talk about, Black consciousness as one of the books, and also the importance of, having to grow and develop yourself as a person. And in subjects such as financial literacy, through reading, you can learn how to save, how to invest, and also how to grow your wealth and how to be financially independent, basically. So if we speak more to the subject of today, which was financial literacy, and we allow everyone, actually different titles, different genres. We do not discriminate in terms of whether nonfiction or fiction, self-help, every kind of book that we enjoy, to allow you to come and review it on the book club. So that's basically all about it. And another important thing that I must stress, we also learn, this very important skill in life, which is public speaking. So if you allow yourself to come and learn, by come and do a review, it does something to your confidence in terms of public speaking, and that will help you. Let's say you are doing your job interview and things like that. So it starts from here. If you don't have any platform elsewhere to hone your communication skills or public speaking skills, this is a great platform for that. And without wasting more of your time, we're now 5 minutes past 7. We have come to the end of the program, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you once again for joining us. And I would like to say good evening, and we'll meet again in the future with more reviews. My name is Sibongiseni Mkolozeli, and have a lovely evening. Goodbye.